That's really important. So you always write slope as a fraction or improper fraction or an integer in simplest form. Okay. Going back to our example of -6/2 equaling -3. I missed that negative sign for a minute. And if you go back, notice it's a negative slope. Go back to your graph and take a look. Again, when we read a graph, we read it like a book from left to right. So we're reading it going from left to right. You can see that your line slants downward, or we would also say that it falls left to right. It slants downward where it falls left to right. And that means we're going to have a negative slope. Okay. Make sure that everybody can see that. Okay, so we always write slope as a fraction or improper fraction or integer, never a decimal and never a mixed number. Okay, fraction, improper fraction, or integer. The line falls or slants downward from left to right, and our slope is negative. And you can see that you got a negative slope from the formula. In the checkpoint, if you need to pause it, just to catch up, go ahead and do that, and then we're going to look at the checkpoints. So with your partners, I would like you to do the checkpoints 1 and 2. Before you pause it, though, let's label the points as x1 and x2 and x1, y1, and x2, y2 together. The first point I'm going to label as x1, y1, and the second point as x2, y2. Doesn't matter, you can switch them around, and you call this one x1, y1, and this first point x2, y2. Doesn't matter what you label them, just as long as your x1 goes along with your y1 and your x2 goes along with your y2. So pause the video and find the slope of those two between those 2 points, and then turn the video back on. Okay, I'm going to use the slope formula. And I am going to say y2, which is 1, minus y1, which is -1, over x2, which is -2, minus x1, which is -3. 1 minus -1 is 2, and -2 minus -3, you know that our minus a negative becomes positive, so -2 plus 3 is 1. We always write it in simplified form, 2 over 1 is 2. And number 2, I'm going to call this x1, y1, and x2, y2. So y2, -2, minus y1, which is 3, over x2, which is 5, minus x1, which is -6. -2 minus 3 is -5, and 5 minus -6 is 11, and our slope is negative. So -5 over 11. So we have a negative slope, which means it would slant downward or fall left to right. And our first slope is positive, which means it rises or slants upward from left to right. I'm going to ask you to stop the video right now, and then there's another video for you guys to watch later on. Thank you, and I'll answer questions tomorrow.